I'm Dr. Elinor Greenberg, and my specialty is borderline narcissistic and schizoid adaptations. What happened was, I've been in practice over 40 years. I'm 74 years old. Very early on in my practice, I discovered that half of my clients had an unknown disorder, and that nobody had taught me. And the unknown disorder is characterized by people switching, being very labile, switching from being very happy with me to being very unhappy with me, falling in love and then hating the person. And I had no idea what was going on. They'd run screaming from my room, cursing me. The week after, they told me they loved me. They'd never had such good therapy. So I knew I was missing something. So I totally retrained. I was trained as a Gestalt therapist, and then I went looking for what was going on. And a lot of those certificates were me. I figured, well, who will know? I said, they'll know in Harvard. So the small ones were me flying to Harvard for continuing it. I had 2 toddlers, and I didn't know what the heck was going on with these clients, but I couldn't just let it go. So I spent about 5 years looking for a teacher, which you know from Tai Chi is teachers and teachers. And I settled on the Master Ren Institute. And meanwhile, I was already a Gestalt therapist. So I was trained as an analyst in object relations. And I had made a vow that what I was learning was the reason people didn't it turned out to be borderline personality disorder and narcissistic and schizoid. That the reason it was so hard to recognize and know is people weren't teaching it because the books on it were so obscure. I had a bachelor's already from Columbia in psych. I ended up going back to school. Long story short, I became a psychologist. And master's, PhD, the whole business, certified in 4 different kinds of therapy. In 2007, I had a minor procedure. All that time, I had been looking for a Tai Chi teacher. I discovered Tai Chi early on, but nobody was right. I didn't really understand. My deepest wish was to find a really good Tai Chi teacher. I'm always interested in the next interesting thing. But all my things are like snake-like. There's nothing straightforward. And Tai Chi, belly dancing had that. Yeah. You see? And the Tai Chi moves, I needed a lot of corrections because you don't put your hip up for Tai Chi, right? It's a very different move. But I just knew, the way you know something, I had a minor biopsy internally under anesthesia, and I woke up with sciatica, very severe sciatica. It turned out I had things wrong with my back, but under the anesthesia, apparently they had totally relaxed. And whatever was holding my back together, I'd never had back pain. So there was no warning. And I couldn't believe it. I thought it was something that would go away because I was working out with trainers. And it got excruciating. I had natural childbirth. This was worse. This was like having natural childbirth every 10 minutes. I was awake and okay, and I could move and be in the right position, but I couldn't sleep because I'd wake up screaming when my ankle would move. So I finally gave up on the idea of it going away. And I called my internist in New York, and he said, fly back. I'm sending you to hospital for special surgery. You're going to see Dan Richmond. And he'll tell you what to do. And so Dan took a look at me and examined me, and he gave me cortisone for my back. And he said, this will allow you in a few weeks to go for rehab. And he sent me to a friend of his at the time, Doug Seckendorf, who had, very unusual because he sent me to a chiropractic rehab place with a gym. And doctors and chiropractors, this never happens. So it was like another weird thing. So I do a year of, when they got me, I couldn't stand up straight. Okay? Literally, I was bent over because I have stenosis, spondylolisthesis, degenerative disc disease, and at that time I had a herniated disc. I felt very vulnerable and fragile, and it put the fear of God into me. I never wanted to feel anything like that again, if I could avoid it. So I went back to Dan for advice. He's in a lab coat at his office, at his old office. I understand he has a new one. And I say, Dr. Richman, I'm okay now. I mean, I still have discomfort, but compared to what I had, this is okay. But I feel too vulnerable. I feel too weak. Something isn't still. I said, what should I do? He's very expensive, Ren. Little did I know at that point. And I said, well, there's no point having money. I don't care if I get new clothes, but I can't live my life in pain, feeling fragile. I'm 74 now, so that thing hit me when I was around 60. After 60, it was just like, I said, so it really doesn't matter because the money won't do me any good. If I can raise the money, I'll do it. Is there a way I could go to class? He said, no, you're way too injured for class. You really get in trouble. He has to come to you privately, and you have to see him twice a week. He said, but there's another problem. I said, what's the other problem? They said, he's Tai Chi man to the stars. I said, okay, what does that mean? He says, well, he's on the road with Lou Reed a lot. He's very busy. It'll be very hard to fit you in. I said, well, I'll be flexible. I'll rearrange my clients. There's really nothing that matters more to me than doing this. He said, Ren will read you. He'll read your movements. He'll read your energy. And he says, but I'd like you to meet him before you commit to such a big thing. He said, look, I don't know if this will work, but I do this with other people. I do it for Lou. I do it, etc. If you don't mind. And he put me in position. He corrected my position. And then when I was correct, he had me walk with it. Then he re-corrected me, had me walk with it again. Pain disappeared. I had already seen an osteopath that week, my chiropractic rehab, and nothing had helped. And he just kept positioning me. So the proof is in the pudding. I said, okay, this is really good. I knew it was good, but I just didn't know how good. My name is very hard to say for Chinese people, Elenor. There's just too many L's. So we decided we need a different name for me, a Tai Chi name. So I am known as One More Time. People who know Ren can understand that, because no matter how many times you do something with him, he says, one more time. So I became One More Time. I started a practice in the morning. I started with 10 minutes because I didn't know I had the willpower to do anything, but I figured you could do anything for 10 minutes. For 5 years, my husband, who's a golfer and the straightest white man in America with little interest in Tai Chi, is watching me do Tai Chi all over the apartment. I'm doing Tai Chi in airports because I figured, why not? It could be funny. And so 5 years go by. My husband's watching me without zero interest until he needs some help with his golf. He's starting to ache and pain. He's 5.5 years younger than me. So Ren, he taught my husband and me. And I discovered something very interesting that I think has been very useful to my clients. And what I discovered is my husband and I, we're married 41 years. He'll be 42 in May. We're together 42 years. We fight every day. We negotiate every day. We're like oil and water. We discuss this. We try and find areas of overlap. We're really good at projects together because we bring two different points of view. but we have so little overlap. We're always out of sync with each other. So when we started doing Tai Chi together, we started out just as out of sync as usual. You know, we were nowhere near each other. We were trying. So he learned silk reeling I had been doing silk reeling in 1938, sword form. I started Laoja, but Laoja, that 180-degree kick from my back wasn't working out too well. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I found with my husband was we were starting to coordinate. Over time, we do Tai Chi together every morning. Now his back is so much better. He's playing golf 3 times a week, so we didn't do it this morning. But like yesterday morning, we did a usual hour in the morning. Then I did an hour and a half with Ren in the afternoon. I'll be doing an hour in the morning with my husband tomorrow because he's not playing and so forth. And gradually, these two people, we tolerate each other because we love each other and we do things, but we're so out of sync, started to synchronize. And every morning we look forward to it. And gradually we were in the same place at the same time. And when we weren't, we could wait for the other to catch up. You know, we were starting, and I thought, well, this is really good for marriage. And that interested me. Because I think that talking is vastly overrated as a therapy. And I have sent clients to Ren who I'm working with because I believe that there's a bottom-up approach where your mind improves from the clarity that you get from Tai Chi and from feeling stronger and more at home in your body. Ren's end, if I send someone to him, is he can tell without me telling. I never say what's wrong with the person. I never, sometimes don't even say it's a client. He knows because he can tell. He experiences as a lock in their brain. So he will tell me that person has a lock here, needs work.